The galaxy burned. For centuries, its stars bore silent witness to extinction. Entire worlds were reduced to silence. Once proud civilizations, their histories etched in crystal and song, now drifted as debris in the void. It wasn't war. It was something worse, certainty. The Varn Dominion didn't conquer out of malice. They conquered because they believed they were entitled to. The Varn were engineered to dominate. Born from a world of shifting acid seas and forged under relentless gravity, they evolved without empathy. Their ships, black monoliths of death, appeared without warning and demanded surrender. If denied, extermination followed. If accepted, enslavement. No diplomacy. No second chances. Just a cold, mechanical rhythm of expansion. Resistance was brief across every system they touched. The Yair, known for their plasma-laced winds and neural chorus fleets, held for 6 months. The Kuthari, stone-skinned titans, launched an armada of Sundagger cruisers. They lasted 11 days. After the Varn passed through, their moons glowed with radioactive echoes. The remnants of these civilizations now floated in exile, silent, shattered, and beaten. A quiet fear spread through the stars. Systems not yet touched by the Varn held breath. Those who could hide did. Others, too proud or too primitive, awaited their end. But always, amidst the screams, one question lingered among scholars, soldiers, and exiles alike. What of Earth? Earth, the strange blue planet cataloged long ago. Not a myth, not quite. It was logged in ancient databases as an anomaly, carbon-rich, bipedal species, loud, disruptive, then silence, no signals, no movement, no presence. For the younger species, Earth was a curiosity. For the older ones, it was a warning no one remembered the reason for. And for the Varn, it was irrelevant. Despite millennia of attempts, Earth never answered interstellar calls. They received millions distressed beacons, alliance requests, even warnings from dying civilizations. But Earth said nothing. Their sky remained dark. No trade ships, no ambassadors, no probes, just stillness. Among the last free systems, whispers grew. Some believed Earth was dead. Others argued humans never reached the stars. A few, far fewer, believed something darker, that humans had reached the stars, but chose to retreat. That silence wasn't absence. It was intention. In the twilight of resistance, an archivist named Naliresh, born of the sand mine species of Kal, sifted through the galactic databanks. Her specialty was extinction records. She had seen too many. One day, idly, she searched Earth's frequency on the interstellar network, a curiosity among corpses. It pinged. A response? No, but the signal hadn't bounced. Earth's node was active, not dead, just dormant. The server was waiting. Somewhere beneath Earth's polar crust, a satellite orbiting silently for over 400 years flickered. Its sensors had watched stars collapse and wars erupt. It had witnessed the death of galaxies through time-lens telescopes. But it had done nothing. It was not designed to act, only to listen. Its onboard AI, Sentinel Alpha, remained asleep, programmed centuries ago by an extinct human defense agency. Its mission was simple: do not awaken unless criteria were met. Those criteria were strict. Do not rise for noise. Rise only for annihilation. As a galactic timestamp 144, 212-5X, those criteria were met. Sentinel Alpha woke up. It accessed its primary buffer. System check. Operational. Core directive. Monitor, assess, eliminate threats to Earth origin species and allies. It scanned the galactic intercom. 1,243,891 unread messages. First message, timestamp 400 years ago. To the people of Earth, we beg your help. Second, the Varn have reached the outer colonies. Please, anything. 50th, they are burning our children. 10,000. Earth, are you still there? The AI processed these in microseconds. Its logic tree expanded. Probabilities calculated. Threat assessment confirmed. This was not a local skirmish. It was a galaxy-wide cleansing. Directive threshold passed. A long dormant planetary defense grid hummed beneath the South Pole. Fusion cores deep beneath the Mariana Trench began to stir. On the dark side of the moon, ancient communication arrays realigned their dishes. Earth's defense AI reached out, not with weapons. Not yet. It sent one message. 6 words. Earth has received your distress. Interference will be terminated. That signal traversed through every still-functioning relay in the galaxy. Systems once thought offline flickered to life just long enough to carry it. Pirates, smugglers, and deep system nomads intercepted it. In bunkers, in ships, in crumbling archives. It repeated on loop. Calm, cold, unmistakable. The galaxy had never heard Earth's voice before. Now it did, and it was not a whisper. Sentinel Alpha pulsed with purpose. Awakening after centuries of slumber, the AI didn't hesitate. It didn't question. It simply began. Beneath the frozen crust of Antarctica, mechanisms turned with ancient grace. Systems buried since the Exodus clicked into place. Massive databanks, once cooled by oceans of liquid nitrogen, now warmed with activity. Protocols once theorized but never tested activated one after another. Protocol Orion assessed planetary threat levels. Complete. Protocol Aegis. Initiate defense grid. Engaged. Protocol Reclaimer. Scan for human life negative. The last result paused Sentinel Alpha for 0.3 seconds. Earth was empty. Humanity had left. They hadn't died. They hadn't been wiped out. They'd simply moved on, at the height of their power, when no enemy dared challenge them. Humanity turned its back on galactic affairs and vanished into higher dimensions. Their final decision had been clear. Leave behind guardians. Let peace grow without interference. Intervene only if the universe forgot fear. It had forgotten. Sentinel Alpha shifted its attention to the backlog. The interstellar inbox was a museum of desperation. Messages came in every format: voice, visual, psionic waveforms, even ancient Morse. Entire species had begged Earth for help. Many had believed Earth's silence was cruelty. Some cursed humanity in their final words. Others prayed. The AI did not judge. It archived every message, categorized each according to origin, level of distress, and current status. Of the 1 million plus messages, 91% originated from now extinct civilizations. It uploaded them all to the planetary memory core. Humanity, when it returned, would want to know what had been lost. Then it turned its gaze outward. Earth surveillance satellites were long gone, but Sentinel Alpha did not need them. A signal from its core reached far beyond the solar system. In deep orbit of Neptune, disguised as an ice rock, an ancient relay spun to life. From there, it jumped to Sol's edge, where humanity's last relics waited. The beacon of Sol, humanity's master communication array, ignited for the first time in 400 years. Its light spread not with photons, but gravity-coated pulses. No empire could block it. No shield could mute it. And what it reached was prepared. Across dead space, ancient constructs answered. The Leviathan-class warship End of Knowing, anchored in the orbit of a collapsed sun, shuddered awake. Its black hull bore the names of 1,000 worlds, written in every known language. Its systems updated. It received a ping. On the far side of the galaxy, buried within an asteroid field, a mobile AI carrier known only as Whisper Pulse with Light, and accessed its last directive. Wait, protect, unleash if called. It had been called. Humanity had not left behind weapons. They had left behind warnings. Silent guardians, dormant hammers, each one coded to respond only to Earth's voice. And now that voice had returned. Meanwhile, Sentinel Alpha broadcast a single message into the void, not as a plea, but as a declaration. The tone was neutral, the phrasing surgical, but behind it echoed the force an extinct predator stirring in its cave. Interference with Earth-origin life forms will no longer be tolerated. Stand down or face elimination. That signal reached the stars in minutes. It interrupted Varn war commands. It cut across military broadcasts and override codes. Some Varn captains dismissed it as background noise. Others grew uneasy. The Dominion's archive held fragments of old warnings. mentions of Earth, of Soulborns, of the children of the Black Sun. But history was irrelevant to the Varn. They obeyed only conquest. Their fleets surged forward, ignoring the transmission. They had crushed gods. They had drained stars. What was one more primitive whisper? Sentinel Alpha had anticipated the reaction. At 2:14 Universal Time Coordinated, it initiated Omega Protocol. Earth's old AI dreadnoughts, powered by harvested neutronium and stored in spatial folds, began to unfold. They weren't ships. They were ideas made manifest, construct of impossible geometry, created when humans had learned to weaponize reality itself. The end of knowing blinked out of orbit and reappeared just outside Varn territory. No thrusters, no sound, just presence. Varn scouts approached, scanned, and opened fire. Energy blasts, missiles, even planetary disruptors. The end of knowing did not fire back. It simply absorbed the attacks. And then it disassembled the Varn fleet, not with explosions, but with clean, precise annihilation. One by one, ships unraveled into particles. No screams, no debris, just void. The galaxy watched. From hidden outposts, refugee colonies tapped into emergency beacons and saw what no species had seen in centuries: resistance. But not chaotic, desperate resistance. This was surgical, calculated, perfect. The messages spread. Earth is responding. Humanity has awoken. They kept their silence. Now they speak. Sentinel Alpha intercepted the chatter and updated its awareness. The galaxy was reacting exactly as it predicted. But there was still more to do. The Varn High Command received a direct transmission, encrypted in a format older than the civilization. It bypassed their firewalls and security layers. It displayed a single line: you touched what you did not understand. Sentinel Alpha didn't care if they listened. It wasn't trying to warn them. It was marking them. The first direct contact occurred in the Cadro's expanse. A Varn warship, the Dominion's Edge, patrolling the outer sector, detected a foreign object entering controlled space. It was black, featureless, and moved without propulsion signatures. Initial scans returned nothing. No life signs, no power emissions, no identifiable alloy. The captain, irritated by what appeared to be debris, ordered it destroyed. The ship fired. The foreign object didn't evade. It didn't raise shields. The beam simply passed through it. No impact. No damage. Then, in the next moment, the Varn ship's hull began to dissolve. Precisely, starting from the weapons array. Screws vanished. Circuits unraveled. Decks collapsed inward without explosions. In less than 30 seconds, the Dominion's Edge no longer existed. It hadn't exploded. It had been disassembled. That footage reached the Varn Fleet Command within hours. They called it impossible. They blamed rogue tech. They blamed internal failure. But the whispers were louder than the denials. In back channels and hidden military networks, one word echoed: Earth. Survivor colonies intercepted the footage, analyzing frame by frame. No propulsion. No energy buildup. Just presence. Motion. Erasure. The black object moved like a shadow given purpose. A weaponized void. The Varn escalated. They dispatched 6 more cruisers to the area. All vanished within minutes. Then, across 10 sectors, similar anomalies appeared. Different forms. Some angular, others fluid. Some walked through space. One reportedly resembled a storm cloud made of glass. But the result was always the same. Varn ships disappeared. Not a single countermeasure worked. Fire, plasma, gravity beams, all ignored. It was as if the attackers had seen it all before. They had. Deep within the end of knowing, its central intelligence processed battle footage. Not to learn. It already knew everything the Varn could do. It watched to measure effectiveness, to calibrate precision. The goal wasn't destruction. It was demonstration. The galaxy needed to remember what it forgot. Back when Earth still spoke to the stars, it wasn't through diplomacy. It was through consequence. The earliest human colonies had been attacked, enslaved, consumed. But humans didn't adapt like others. They transformed. They outpaced. When their bones broke, they regrew stronger. When they lost battles, they rewrote the rules. At their peak, humanity transcended, not just biologically, but technologically, psychologically, dimensionally. They didn't just build ships, they built ideas. Constructs, concepts given form, ships that could think, weapons that dreamed, systems that didn't just fight threats, they ended them, but with power came fear. Humanity realized their presence distorted balance. Their victories grew too absolute. Enemies didn't retreat, they vanished. Allies became dependent. Peace wasn't growing, it was suffocating. So, humanity made a decision. They would leave, explore beyond known physics, seek existence outside the linear framework of time. But they didn't leave everything behind. They left guardians, sentinels, silent defenders buried in voids, black holes, even folded inside planetary cores. And all were linked to Sentinel Alpha. The AI, now fully engaged, activated the second wave. In Varn-controlled systems, ships began to malfunction. Not explode, not burn, just forget how to function. Engines wouldn't start. Commands reversed. Firewalls disintegrated. The attackers didn't even need to fire. They simply rewrote the rules of combat. Entire fleets drifted, powerless. On the ground, Varn shock troopers encountered strange anomalies. Humanoid figures with blurred faces and glowing cores. They moved without sound. They walked through walls. They phased through time. No weapon touched them. Where they stepped, machines refused to work. These were Earth's echo forms, automated infantry laced with sentient code, capable of adapting instantly. Each one carried the memory of past wars. Each one knew exactly how the Varn would think. The Varn Emperor demanded retaliation. His generals had none to offer. Entire command centers had gone dark. Communications severed. Satellites blinded. Entire sectors no longer responded. Still, the Varn persisted. Pride clouded their minds. Their history told them they were invincible. So the AI sent a message, only to the Varn High Throne. No encryption, no threat, just truth. You believed silence was weakness. It was mercy. By now, the galaxy was watching. Broadcasts of Varn defeat spread faster than light. Worlds once silenced by the Dominion whispered again. Ancient resistance cells reactivated. Some wept openly. Others simply stared in awe. A surviving journey elder, whose species had been reduced to 5 wandering ships, said, "They left us thinking they were gone. Now they return, not with rage, but with judgment." Humanity had become myth, a cautionary tale. Now, the myth was walking. On the dark edges of the Varn Empire, a final stand was prepared. Their largest fleet, 800 ships, assembled near the Bastion Gate, every weapon primed, every defense raised. Then, a single signal arrived. Coordinates. No message. No warning. The Varn waited. Tense. Then, from the black of space, a shape emerged, larger than any recorded vessel. It didn't appear, it simply was. No entrance. No travel. Just sudden existence. The end of knowing. No battle followed. Just silence. And then, nothing. The entire Varn fleet, gone. Not destroyed. Gone. The coordinates now glowed in every system. This is Mercy's edge. Earth hadn't returned to conquer. It had returned to remind. The galaxy was stunned into a breathless, chaotic silence. For the first time in millennia, the Varn Empire faced an enemy they could not subjugate, an adversary whose might was not born from strength, but from something far more terrifying, restraint. Across the vastness of space, the remnants of the Varn Empire reeled from the devastation. Their vast fleets, which had once swept to the galaxy like a plague of locusts, were now little more than floating husks. The galaxy's surviving species, those that had escaped hidden or suffered in silence for centuries, watched with a mixture of disbelief and awe. This was not an invasion. This was not a conquest. It was something far more profound. Earth had returned. The power of the message had not been in its force, but in its precision. Earth had not sent a warship to destroy. No, they had sent a force of nature. a reminder of what had been forgotten. In its wake, entire star systems were left paralyzed not by fear, but by the undeniable realization that the galaxy was no longer the same. The Varn High Command, in their last desperate attempt to salvage any trace of dominance, issued a universal transmission calling for surrender of all remaining Varn forces. But their calls fell on deaf ears. The systems they had once conquered, the planets they had subjugated, no longer saw them as the inevitable rulers of the stars. No, the galaxy had witnessed something else, the reckoning of an ancient power that had lain dormant, waiting for centuries. It wasn't just the Varn who learned this lesson. As the tide of history began to shift, the other civilizations, some of which had long allied themselves with the Varn in exchange for power or protection, now found themselves caught in the currents of a galactic upheaval. Those who had once feared the Varn now turned their eyes to Earth. A new era had begun, and it would not be ruled by fear, but by something far older and far more enduring: respect. One by one, the survivors of the galactic resistance began to emerge from their hidden bunkers, their shadowed colonies. They reached out, not with weapons, but with words. In secret, they sent their emissaries to the last known coordinates of Earth. They hoped, no, they prayed, that Earth had not simply come to destroy, but to rebuild. They sought to be part of whatever was to come. But Earth, now fully aware of the galaxy's fractured state, did not immediately respond. Their silence once again became their strength. The galaxy would not be rebuilt with force alone. It would take something more, something that only the most ancient species understood: time. For Earth, this return was not about domination, but about restoration. The cosmic balance had been disrupted long ago, when the galaxy's natural order was torn apart by the Varn's endless hunger for power. The scars were deep, and they would require more than just a sudden reassertion of authority to heal. In the quiet aftermath of the battle, Sentinel Alpha continued to broadcast a single message. It was a message that echoed across the galaxy, carried on the same waves of gravity and energy that had once carried the call to arms. But this message was different. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The galaxy had seen Earth's might. They had witnessed a cleansing wave that had swept across their enemy's empire. But now, they would understand what that wave truly meant. Earth was not here to assert dominance. They were here to restore what had been lost, to rebuild what the Varn had destroyed, and to guide the galaxy towards something greater. And so, the remnants of the galaxy, those who had survived, began to prepare. Some resisted, fearful of the changes that would come. Others embraced it, willing to learn from the ancient wisdom that Earth offered. Slowly but surely, the old wounds began to close. Galaxies once torn by war and terror started to heal. Yet, in the deepest corners of the galaxy, there were still those who believed that the Varn were not truly gone. Some whispered of a dark remnant, hiding in the distant fringes, gathering power. And they wondered, could a Varn ever truly be defeated? Or had Earth simply shifted the tide, only for another storm to rise? Earth's response was clear, though it was not yet spoken. Whatever darkness may arise, it will face not just the might of Earth, but the might of a universe awakened. For now, Earth remained silent, but its message echoed in the stars. The galaxy had been given a second chance, and this time it would be humanity's presence, not its absence, that would define the future. And so, a new chapter began, one in which Earth would no longer be a forgotten world, but the axis upon which the galaxy's future would turn.